Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. Today we're going to take a look at Texas A&M kick returner, wide receiver, slot man extraordinaire Christian Kirk. He's had a terrific career at A&M. He started off as an underclassman in a loaded wide receiving core. A couple of those guys went on to the NFL, and then he finished up his career as a junior, leading that core, making some clutch plays in some tough moments against some top teams. You can see it here, in this play against LSU where he's able to work between coverage here and come down with a really tight throw. Wonderful stuff. And we could spend all day looking at some of the wonderful things that Christian Kirk can do. But the NFL is filled with wonderful, extraordinary, exceptional players. And as a result of that, you want to actually look at some of the flaws. Because those flaws, when put to the magnifying glass, when you examine them under a magnifying glass, and the NFL is a magnifying glass, and you add a little bit of bright light to that, a player's game can disintegrate a little bit if they don't shore up some of the minor flaws that they have in their game. And as much as we've just seen Christian Kirk snatch balls out of the air and make some difficult catches, he also has some flaws catching the football. And we're going to show 4 plays that point to that. And if he can shore these techniques up, I think you're going to see the player that most people expect him to be. But if not, my bet is that the reason would be that he fights the ball a little bit on certain plays, on certain types of targets. So let's get started and take a look. The first play is Kirk in the slot. And you're going to see he's got off coverage, inside shade. This is a man coverage look, and this is on a 2nd and 2, and he catches this pass. Not a problem, right? Okay, fine. But let's look at his hand position here. See where his hands are? He doesn't even have them like underneath or over top. It's somewhere in the middle. He's actually clapping his hands on the ball on this play. And when you clap your hands on the ball like this, you increase the risk of dropping it because you're not really catching it with quite the control that you'd like to have. There's a little bit more of a clap there and a trap, as opposed to actually letting it get his hands on the ball fully underneath. He tends to change his grip a little bit in mid-catch too. You see where his hands start. They start high. He's got high hands to start with, and then he brings them under and then claps them together and claps them to his chest. It's a very small, slight thing. But I just worry that I see this consistently. We're going to see this on the other 3 plays where his hand position seems to change mid-pass. He tends to clap on the ball sometimes, and as a result, we have issues fighting the ball. Now, this play is in slot right. You're going to watch him work the out route. And he makes the catch, and he makes it in bounds, but it's, again, another underhand catch. And you'd like to see him extend for this ball a little bit. Now, arguably, you could say he was prepping for the defender to hit him in the back, and he wanted to make the catch in a manner where he could keep it tight to his body because he couldn't gauge where the defender was and wanted to secure it and kind of shield the man. But I would say that it would be better if he attacked with active technique. And a lot of times, unless the ball is away from his frame, where he has no other choice but to extend for the ball, he tends to trap the ball. This tends to be his, kind of his fallback method of catching the ball. And I'd rather see active hands as your fallback rather than underhand bucket catch trap to the chest. This is an example of when he has no other choice. You can see that, yeah, he can high point the ball. So, the technique and the ability to do so is right there. But it's not his fallback method unless he absolutely has to. This touchdown pass is a good example of that. We're going to watch him get separation on the corner and just run under this ball. Now he's got to turn back to catch it, and the sun is shining down in the path of his target. But watch again. It's not active technique. He's not leaping up for it. He's not trying to attack it. He's letting it go underhand. And In the NFL, tighter coverage, a defender who turns around and looks for the ball knocks this pass away. In college, it's a touchdown, even against mighty Alabama. But, we're going to be seeing more proficient cornerbacks in the NFL who are going to be able to look this ball in and stay at the inside hip. And Kirk is going to be forced to attack the football. And here, it's an underhand trap. And see how the ball nearly goes through his forearms? There's the point of the ball right there. And it nearly slips through, and he's fighting it. He doesn't even have his right hand around it. He's fighting that ball, or actually that's his left hand. He's kind of just hugging it into his chest, actually into his stomach here and lap. And he fights it all the way through here and barely gets control of it until the end. In fact, in an NFL game, well, we know how long it would take for them to determine whether this is a catch or not. But again, he's fighting that so far to the end that it might even be considered that he had control of it until he only had one step in bounds. That might not even be considered a catch in the league. And a lot of it's because, again, passive technique and trapping the ball, and then you end up fighting it. This game winner in overtime against Arkansas is another good example. Here he is again. See his hands come up as if he's going to catch the ball active, and then he changes it last second where he then kind of bucket catches it and traps it to his chest and again fights the ball. See the hands coming kind of up, and he's almost clapping. He's got one hand underneath, one hand over top. It's not uniform. But then he kind of cradles it in. So his hands are kind of ever changing in mid-catch, and part of that is maybe gauging the ball. But I see it enough with him in ways that differ from other prospects at times, and the fact that he's fighting the ball at the end concerns me. Here's where we get a shot of him kind of fighting the ball in. See how he had to kind of make that adjustment with his outside arm, his left arm? It's just these little things. He's a good player. He's certainly a fine prospect. But it's these little things that if there's going to be a struggle, if you're going to see him disappoint a little bit early on, it's because he really hasn't displayed a consistency with his hands technique. He fights the ball. He doesn't always use the active hands that he should. And that trapping of the ball here is going to be an issue. So we're going to see a lot of near misses possibly with Christian Kirk early in his career if he doesn't shore this up sooner than later. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, the RSP Film Room, and my blog, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.